Great decorating is all about the details, including a gorgeous textured set of coasters. How we love a coaster. Functional. And why not be beautiful? Quince has a gorgeous set of woven rattan coasters in 3 terrific colors with their own little holder that you're going to absolutely love. And if you haven't visited quince.com/DTT yet, get on over there. It's everyday elevated living without the markup. From crisp 100% linen bedding and soft organic cotton towels to airy curtains and premium kitchen tools designed for everyday use. And the best part? Like Quince's clothing, their home goods are half the cost of similar brands. By partnering with top artisans, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Elevate your space with home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT.
Are you guilty as charged?
Our decorating is classic and timeless, as is our advice. So today we're sharing a classic DTT episode from the archives with you.
I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wilkness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, Style Crimes. Are you guilty? And I think we're all guilty from time to time of doing something that's not quite the best.
I think what happens too is it's not so much a situation of bad style or bad taste. Often these style crimes of the non-feasance variety, that's, lack of action rather than taking action and having it be bad. So, for example, not purging, not decoloring, not freshening up, and not finishing. So sometimes that, you can be guilty of non-feasance as well as feasance. So we're going to dive in today. It's just going to be a fun, lighthearted episode. Just roll with it. Think about what's going on in your house. We're not coming after you with handcuffs and we're not going to send the design police. But, if you've got it going on, and while I was doing this, I was like, okay, I'm glad no one caught me.
And the thing about it is just take it with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously these are things that aren't the best, but we've all done them. And if you're in the process of redoing your house, you probably, or maybe you just haven't gotten to it yet. So it's just kind of, we know these are probably not the best things to do, or maybe they're kind of some outdated things. But they're just kind of information. And if you've had one of these and you like it, then don't worry about it. We're just kind of throwing it out there, kind of for a fun episode.
No one's innocent.
Well, not here.
I've
done everything.
There might be things that you never even thought of. Like, maybe your mama didn't tell you a few of these things, or you didn't ever bump into it.
Or your mama did these things.
Oh, the mother always gets blamed. Gosh.
You knew that was coming, didn't you?
Cannot get from under. I'm telling you.
If having too many ceramic ducks in your house is a design crime, then my mom was guilty.
That's a felony.
That's a felony.
And I know my crimes. Okay. So we're just going to run through them. It's kind of fun. We're going to have some laughs, and, you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to take a picture and put it on Instagram if you're doing any of this stuff. You could just shuffle on over there and change it up.
There've definitely been times where I know I'm doing this crime. I know it's not quite right, but I'm just kind of not gotten to it yet, or I'm in the middle of something. So I know it's.
Oh, I have one. I actually put a little disclaimer on my recent blog post because I was doing it, and when I took the picture, I was like, whoa, people are going to call me out on that. And so when we get to that one, I'll tell you about it. But it was
you're going to make us wait on that one.
Well, it's just in the list. I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay.
Right. But it was out of necessity. And sometimes these things are out of necessity. So enough blah-de-blah. Let's get to it. Let's get the lineup going. Let's go to the crime scenes and see what you may or may not be guilty of.
Oh, and this one, okay, the first one, I did this all the time in those early days of decorating, and that is too matchy. If it came with a full set of whatever it was, I wanted the full set. It had to all be the same. And, and at that time, that was kind of the look, but now it really isn't. So if you bought some stuff back when it was the thing to do, you might go back and look and see, does all your furniture match exactly? Does every fabric in the room, does it match exactly? You just have one fabric that's used everywhere in the room.
Man, that was an easy time to decorate, wasn't it?
Oh, I know. You didn't even have to think about it.
My first one is a little more, I don't know, would esoteric be the right word?
Yes.
Living like someone else.
Oh, well, is that wrong?
Yeah. Yes. Impersonating others, even in your style and decor, is wrong.
Okay, but maybe it's impersonating, or maybe it's just trying on different personalities to see which one really fits you the best. Because I had my Moroccan period, my cottage period.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's hear it.
Read the statute, lady. It's living like someone else. Nothing is in good taste unless it suits the way you want to, or you should be living. So, don't emulate someone else just because you think that's the way your house should be decorated. Don't have formal rooms if you've got 5 kids and 3 dogs,
But again, I feel like you got to go back to this and say, you've got to find your own style. Until you have your own style, you're going to have to do some copying and pretending to be someone else. I think if you're in the early stages of just kind of figuring it out, I think you got to start somewhere. But I agree, you don't want to stick with that for long.
Well, you'd be a great defense attorney, but the prosecutor says that living like someone else is a design crime. Okay, give me another one.
Okay. Collections that overtake a room. Oh my goodness, so guilty of this one too. Although I think I've corrected it, but I've definitely done this over and over again. Because again, if 1 is good, 2 is better, 100 is even better.
Yeah. How about mirrored walls?
Oh, do you know our first house had a mirrored wall in the breakfast room?
You're a serial offender.
Well, again, but it's kind of one of those things. The house came with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't put it up, but I always hated it. And it was, especially in the kitchen, who wants to see yourself eating? Besides my girls when they were little, they wanted to. But otherwise, it's not something I just didn't like it.
Okay, stuff on top of the cabinets in your kitchen, the baskets, the ivy, the fake flowers, things like that. The roosters, perhaps. They should all sort of be scooted out the door.
Yeah, and even on top of some built-in cabinets, not just the kitchen, I had some big things on top of some other cabinetry, and, I took those down several years ago. So I kind of think about that, even on top of a tall armoire. And I'm going to make an exception of perhaps one big thing, like one big basket. I think that's fine. But if you have a collection of things up there, I would go ahead and take those down.
Okay, here's a specific one. The neck of your lamp showing. Made me think of Nora Ephron's book, I Hate My Neck, or something, whatever that's called.
Yep. That's exactly what it was.
You don't want your lampshade being, like high water. So you want the lampshade to come down and cover the neck, certainly the socket of your lamp. Now, that's one of those things that maybe no one ever told you that. Maybe the lamp had a shade that came with it that was ill-fitting, or you liked a lampshade and you stuck it on there and didn't think much about it. You really shouldn't see those parts of the lamp.
Easy. That's easy to fix too. So that's an easy one to take care of. How about this? And again, guilty on this one too. Themed rooms. Like, this is the hunting room. This is the grandma's room. This is the, whatever.
Yeah. Themed rooms, themed decor where you're going over the top, and particularly themed decor that is not geographically appropriate.
Are you talking about
the house in the woods or something?
The beach room, the mountain room,
right? Or the beach
lake
room. Yeah. One nightstand.
If you've got a small space, sometimes it's kind of hard to do because maybe you don't have room for a nightstand on both sides of the bed. But I agree, if you have room, you really need one on each side. And maybe you can go with a smaller one if you don't have a lot of room. But I think that's an odd look to have one on just one side. Bad faux flowers. And there are some very good ones. And so we're not talking about those. If it looks real, you're fine. But if it's obviously not real, it's got to go.
Yeah, like a blue daffodil or something like that. Yeah, if it, we did a whole episode on flowers and faux and things like that. Yeah. And so, we'll reference that in the show notes, but it's pretty clear when it slides into the criminal area with those flowers.
I think so. I mean, if those big arrangements that used to be so popular 20 years ago, if you've got one of those, it's time.
Yeah. And sort of going along the same line, if you made a wreath and you made it 5 years ago, if you made it 10 years ago, please. If you made it 15 years ago, please let it go. If it's got faux flowers on it or any kind of sort of dried flowers or something like that, it's time to let that go to Goodwill.
Yeah. Sometimes it's time.
Stuff that's too cute. It's fine for a little boy or girl's room. It's fine for a kid's playroom, but you don't want to have cutesy stuff all over your house. It's really going to bring down your look. I mean, everything does not have to be super high end. Certainly, if you listen to us, you know that we love to mix it all, but there's very big difference between having something that's inexpensive as opposed to something that's cute or kitschy or, just too sweet.
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about?
Well, I just think lots of things sometimes with sayings are just too cute, or little farm animal figurines or things like that. Just, it's hard to think off the top of my head. It's kind of one of those things like you just know it when you see it. If it's just, just like maybe you'd find it at a crafts fair made by someone's grandma. Maybe that's not the thing you want to have on display all the time. Okay. Maybe it's just a little misdemeanor, or you get off with a summons if you're doing it seasonally, but certainly for year-round decor, I don't think you want anything that's too cute.
So do we want to define this as you look at it and you go, oh,
exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about.
I might look at it and go,
Either it's not good.
I mean, okay, karate chop pillows.
We are really being mean today.
It's not mean. It's funny. Come on, laugh along. Everybody, you've admitted to gosh, they're going to throw the book at you. You've admitted to so many.
Oh, I've done everything.
Okay, so karate chop pillows. Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just you just trying too hard. That doesn't make your pillow look more comfortable.
No, I think that's what it is. It just looks like you tried too hard. I think that's a good way to describe that. How about mass-produced artwork that really isn't specific to you? If it's mass-produced, however, it's meaningful to you, then I think that's fine. But just something that just looks like you just went out to the big box store and just bought some stuff because it was the right color. I just don't think that's a good way to go.
Agreed. And I'm pleading guilty to this one. Just for a moment in time, a rug that's too small. I had that very recently because one of my little dogs, which will go unnamed, committed a crime in my living room.
Another kind of crime?
Another kind of crime. And yes. And so the under rug, the jute rug, which is certainly big enough, and was touching all the furniture and all the good things that it's supposed to do, had to get rolled up and taken out. And so I was left with the rug that I was layering on top. So I had to do a post because it had to go out on a certain day. And there I was taking pictures of my living room. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're all going to say, she is such a hypocrite. Look at that bath mat she's got in front of her sofa. So I put at the bottom of my post, I was like, for any podcast listeners, please excuse my bath mat.
That is so funny
what
because
happened.
I saw that on your blog and I thought, well, I am very interested in this.
Well, yes. Well, I hope you read it and just look at the picture because that explained it all.
I was kind of in a hurry, so I didn't read it, but I just was a little surprised. Let's just put it that way. But I knew there was a good explanation, so I withheld judgment.
Yeah, and it really does make such a difference because then living with that too small of a rug in front of my sofa for a week or so, as I had to, it's just like, that just looks silly.
Okay. So guilty of this for so long, but it wasn't my fault. I was a portrait photographer. This was my job. Too many family photos everywhere. And I had the big ones.
Yeah.
I mean, massively sized photos everywhere. And I'm glad I have them. It's when my kids were little. So I'm so thrilled that I have these for the future. And they were wearing matching dresses and so pretty. But, I think that's for the past. And it's not good to have those plastered all over my wall. So they're all down.
Too much of a good thing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this one might be tough to correct, but so this is kind of a looking forward if you feel like you have this situation going on. The wrong color grout. Too many times people are rushed into choosing things like paint colors and grout. You might spend a whole lot of time choosing your tile, but nobody really tells you need to pick out your grout too. So there are actually grout kits that you can purchase or you can get from tile places. They might loan it to you so you can kind of play around with the different grouts, because grout can make a huge difference in what the overall backsplash or bathroom or whatever tiled surface you're working with looks like when it's completed. Because if you've got light tile and dark grout, well, it's going to look a lot busier. That might be the look you want, but you just have to really be careful. I'll give you two grouts that are pretty universal. The DeLorean gray and also Dove gray. Two really nice grouts that just kind of blend in, obviously not with every single tile on the planet, but with many, many tiles. And that might be a good starting point for you. Don't just default to a white grout. You might really regret that for the look and also the maintenance.
The maintenance is a big issue. And then you've got another design crime, or not design crime, or style crime, but just housekeeping crime, where it just
dirty grout.
I know.
Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. So have you tried Dupe yet? If you haven't, come on, dupe.com. It is going to be your new shopping best friend. And it's not just for furniture. I know I've shared with you about my coffee table dupe, but you can save money with Dupe on fashion, shoes, jewelry, and more. I just used Dupe to find an absolute perfect twin of this t-shirt that I wanted. It was an $80 t-shirt. I was not going to pay $80 for a t-shirt. Dupe helped me find the twin, like maybe the exact same shirt. Find something you love, and then you can find replicas, twins, and maybe the exact thing for so much less. Give Dupe a try today. It is really so easy to use. You just type dupe.com / before any product URL in your browser, and voila! It instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account is required. No sign up is required. It is completely free. I know, can you believe it? But it is completely free to use. Stop wasting money on brand names and start saving with dupe.com today.
Dried flowers. Now, and I love dried flowers. And one time there was a magazine here shooting my house, and she said, you got to pull those dried flowers out. And I said, well, what? I like them. And she said, they just look dead in the photos. She said, we can't shoot them. So, I kind of had a different perspective on it, started looking at the dried flowers a little more differently. And then I kind of, just had to agree that the dried flowers did not look very good. And so just be mindful of that. If it's, I think the only exception is really lavender. That looks great. I think dried, but the others can look kind of bad.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you were going to sort of align that with the whole lavender situation.
No, lavender's different.
Lavender's different. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have some bundles of lavender, and so I do tie those and leave them sitting out. I think those are fine. Those are the exception to the rule.
Okay. Pattern drapes matching upholstered furniture.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
and wallpaper.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, you could go all the way. It would be easier, but it's really not the way to decorate a room. And so if you have that, changing drapes and changing upholstery can be very expensive. So that might be something where you just choose to move that piece of furniture someplace else. And if you've got your great neutral color palette going on in your entire home, it shouldn't be a problem. You can move that chair someplace else or try taking the draperies down and, maybe getting it less expensive, not a custom drape.
How about word art?
Well, you know how I feel about that.
I know, but because
no words.
There's a few things on here we've already talked in the past, but I feel like we'd be remiss not including them again. Yes. So I'm going to throw it in.
Yes. I'm going to throw the book at you. Ha ha ha. Anything, all iconic mid-century, all shabby chic, even all traditional or all farmhouse. Shake it up. Change it around. Certainly the whole mid-century thing has kind of lost its luster. And the shabby chic, well, that's been gone for a while. So if you've got a lot of those elements, sure, a little touch here, a little touch there, that makes it interesting if you're mixing it in with different things. So I'm talking about if you've got whole rooms of this going on, or, your shabby chicness is sort of like absolutely everywhere. Like Rachel Ashwell would feel really comfy in your house. You might want to shake it up a little bit.
Well, I think what you're talking about too is you don't want the room to look too predictable. So you really do want to mix it up a bit. So, there's one thing to be said for, this goes with this, goes with this, goes with this. But if you overdo that too much and everything just is too even keeled without something throwing it off a bit, then it just can look kind of boring.
Yeah. Rooms without dimmers. This comes up time and time again, but please, it's the time to stop, stop your life of crime. Do yourself a giant favor and get dimmers hand in hand with rooms that only have overhead lighting. People might think, it's just my kitchen. That's the heart of your home. And you're not performing surgery in there. You may be chopping an onion. You don't need to you probably don't even need any overhead lighting in there.
Oh, I think you do. Yeah.
But, not necessarily, you don't have to have can lighting. You can have a pendant. You can have a chandelier. Right. You can have things like that. Something over your head, but not that kind of can lighting. So, and if you have lighting anywhere, put it on a dimmer.
Yeah. Just save it for when you are doing something that requires some extra lighting. But yeah, you don't need it every day for sure. Wallpaper borders.
Yeah.
It's past.
Yeah. Look up if that's going on, just scratching at the edge of it and just give a good pull. It's just like taking off a Band-Aid. Okay. Untamed kids' toys, work piles, and craft/projects in progress. Okay. Don't leave these out. In your house. It's a temporary crime. You can fix it before anyone catches you. Head around, basket up the kids' toys, the work piles, try to put them someplace where they're not a constant reminder that you have stuff to do. Crafts in progress. Sure, having that needlepoint out on your dining room table might remind you that you wanted to finish it, but isn't that kind of annoying too? Because maybe you'd really like to sit down and finish it, but you can't. And now it's in your way, and now it's making your dining room look not so great. So that's really not helping you at all. So try to find spots for all these things. Even just one cupboard where you put all these things that are sort of in progress, or a basket of things that need filing or whatnot. Get it out of the way.
Yeah. Foofy curtains. You know what I'm talking about? The balances that are all swagged, or a swag at the top.
Balloon shades.
Which I used to love. But they're just their day is over. So now it's really cleaner, simpler lines. Balances are really not in use much. And any kind of just kind of foofy treatment at the top is, if you just go ahead and take that down.
Yeah, foofy. Yeah, that is a crime. Foofy is certainly a crime. This question comes up over and over again, how to deal with the TV. And we've talked about this in podcasts, but, this is definitely hurting your look. If your TV is just sort of hanging out there on the wall, sort of by itself, and then by virtue of you sitting down when you watch it, it's really sort of low, and then there's all this space above it, and it's really hard to deal with. So, everybody's situation is different. No matter how many times we get the question and we see photos, we've got slightly different answers for everybody. But if this is going on in your house, sit down on that couch. Don't turn on the TV. Don't watch something else. Just look at the TV and figure out how you can make it work better, because it will be a better solution that might provide you from some storage. It might make it even just make it look like it's all unified. It might bring your eye up in the room, which would be very helpful. So there are ways around it. So don't give up.
Mm-hmm. Futons. Unless you're in college.
Yeah.
If you're in college, we're going to give you a big pass on that one.
Oh, yeah. I don't never had a futon. Have you had a futon?
No, we didn't have a futon. No.
How about this one? Oh, please. I don't think this is happening. Toilet rugs? Is that happening?
No, nobody does that anymore. I don't even know why.
I've seen them in stores. They come in the whole set.
What?
I can't believe they still. Yes, I've seen them. They still sell them.
Okay, I'm not going to ask what store. I'm not going to ask you to out anybody. Tuscan Kitchens.
Oh, yeah.
And again, they had their day. And here's the bad thing about this. They were so hot 20 years ago. People poured a lot of money into them. And now guess what? So dated looking. And so I really feel bad for everybody that put money into this because they were so hot and now not.
Yeah. And really hard to change and expensive. So you might just have to move. You might have to run. You might have to go on the lam if you get caught with this one because it's really hard to fix. That being said, there's ways that you can sort of temper it down. You can maybe try to go a little bit more neutral. You can pull out some accessories that are really the reds and the real mustardy yellows and the greens and things like that. So you can kind of sort of try to freshen it up a little bit. You can do what some of our listeners have done. Taryn and a few other people, they painted their tile, right? She didn't have a Tuscan kitchen, but the idea that is doable. So if you have a backsplash where you've got cypress trees and, the view of, a vineyard or something, you could paint over it and make it go away. But here's the thing. Here's the thought to take away from that. Not say, oh, that's so mean. They said they don't like Tuscan kitchens. But here's the thing. When you're designing a kitchen or you have the opportunity to redo a kitchen, try not to get too wrapped up in what is happening in the moment and really try to focus on classic pieces and fixtures for such a big ticket item like a kitchen. Like, why did nobody know? Like, why did nobody think of that then? We do call it autumnal. I didn't go all the way Tuscan. I certainly didn't have anything like that, but I had all those colors. I remember when I was doing that kitchen, maybe that was like 15, 16 years ago, there were all those tile scenes that you could do behind your stove. And it was all that or some sort of like, fresco looking thing. I could have easily gotten swept along with it. I guess people just didn't think then like this is ever going to go out of style. Right?
I know.
It's always going to be there.
I know. And you feel like so duped.
Well, we're doing total Monday morning quarterback, hindsight is 2020, but hey, we've now all seen things like this happen. And that was pretty dramatic. Like I can't think of I guess unless you got really swept up in the whole mid-century thing and you did your whole house mid-century and then you were like, whoa, I don't really like this anymore. And then you'd be stuck with those colors and that furniture. Like I think was the only other thing that I can think of as dramatic as going full on Tuscan in your kitchen.
Well, I know someone that went full on shabby chic and she moved a few years ago and just sold everything and started over.
She's on the lam. That's what I'm saying. She just one day she just
left
ran,
the state,
kept going. Right? Yeah,
that's right. She's changed her identity.
She never looked back. Okay,
no, she didn't.
Not having house plans. This is so easy. You can go get some houseplants today, and don't make them little dinky houseplants. Like get some. If you don't have any houseplants, I would suggest you get something like an umbrella plant, something that's nice and full in a nice size basket. I'm thinking maybe like a 16 to 18 inch wide basket that could sit on the floor. Boy, that's going to change your room. And it's just going to really make you happy every time you see it. And if you do have some houseplants, well, maybe add another one. Maybe add a small basil or a rosemary or something on your kitchen counter. So it'd be very nice and you can use it.
Yeah. Tiffany lamps. And I kind of think of them as being kind of those same Tuscan kind of colors. I think of the
Mm-hmm.
yellows and the reds. They're just kind of out of style now. It's painful for me to say it because I know people paid a lot of money for these. They're not cheap. I mean, and I don't mean the real Tiffany lamps, but I mean the reproductions.
Yeah. And if you do have a real Tiffany lamp, well, don't give that to Goodwill. I mean, of
Oh,
course.
no. That one,
Just wrap it
It's a real
up
one.
and put it away. Or, maybe mix it in with different things so it doesn't look so of its time. Maybe edge it up a little bit. But yeah, they're not really having a moment now. Uncomfy dining room chairs. Like it could be a situation where they were the set and they're just not comfortable. Well, maybe even if you change up the two ends and make them parsons or something like that.
I've done that. And that's a nice way to go too.
Yeah. And they're super comfy then, especially if people now are using their dining rooms as a /office situation. You get sitting there for a long time.
Yeah. So 2 people are comfortable.
2 people are comfortable. Right.
And that's what counts, right?
Right. Exactly.
Oh,
maybe you could rotate. Tonight I get the comfortable chair.
Yeah. Draw straws.
Exactly.
So gets to sit there. So mason jars, again,
had
their moment. I'm not saying get rid of all your mason jars. I'm just saying don't leave them all sitting out. Don't they did, and then it was everything mason jars, and every blog was doing something with mason jars. So I'm not suggesting that you throw them out, but just don't have them all sitting out. We still use them to drink out of for certain meals, and sometimes I use them as bases. But I don't have a stack of them sitting out.
No, but gosh, that was full on. Like everything was a mason jar, right? And then people were doing all kinds of crazy things.
Doing everything with them. And what was the cutesy thing? What did you say? The things that were too, how did you, that would fall under that category.
Oh, yeah. For sure. This is easy. And I bet a lot of you, and you don't have to tell us, but I'll bet a lot of you have this going on. AC vents /ducts that don't blend. If you have a darker floor and your vent is white or that kind of office folding chair beige, whatever that color is, that like it's almost like it's like a Band-Aid color. That's the worst color. Why are all those chairs in that color? Right?
I don't know.
You don't have to buy all new ones. You don't have to have the cast iron ones. Just take the ones you have. Do yourself a favor, clean them up because no matter how tidy you are, they probably are a little dusty from being on the floor. Clean them up, let them dry really well, and then just spray paint them. And if you have a dark floor, spray paint them black. And if you have a lighter oak, then, try to find something that will go with that. Definitely you can get it where it's not as obvious. If you've got white and you've even got a light oak floor, the white's going to jump out at you. So maybe you can find some color. Obviously you can't really stain them, but there are wood ones that they have on the aisles in Home Depot. They're not intricately cut. They're just sort of the louvered ones, but that makes a big difference. I just did that in a client's house and she's like, wow, I never even noticed that. And it was just so obvious. And my eye went to like right register, all around her floor. And we had just done this gorgeous bamboo floor. I'm like, you're not going to leave these white things here. I'm going to have to arrest you.
Oh no.
Yes, I was going to get my summons book out.
Okay, vertical blinds.
Oh.
And ouch. Remember my first house? So I feel like if I just listed everything in my first house, it would be a whole list of design crimes because the one that had the mirror and the vertical blinds was my first house. Yeah.
Yeah. You had to keep on going. Here's
had
one.
to sell that one.
I had to sell that one. And then the painted one had to go. Ignoring your entry. Don't do that. Yeah, that can be even if it's a tiny little spot, it could be so welcoming and you just make it beautiful with a little vignette, even just a little mason jar with some flowers in it, something like that, a lamp where you're not showing its neck, a rug that's not too small but not too big. You can just make your entry absolutely beautiful in an afternoon.
Just too much little stuff in the room. I just think that's something that can really throw off the design of a room.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest issues I see with clients' homes is when they buy decor for a room, they buy small stuff and it's got to be scaled properly for it to look right in a room.
Yeah, scale and balance, so important. So those are two more design concepts that you need to be aware of. And we've talked about those. We can link to other podcasts where we really go into depth on those. Here's one that I am definitely guilty of. Having a room or a space. Sometimes it's your garage. Sometimes it's someone's, quote, bonus room that is just a dumping ground.
Oh, yeah. Ouch.
Right?
That I know. And it just happens. And my garage apartments it's happened with, because this is when we had our online store. I had some of the stock here, and then it's my podcast studio. And at one point I looked around and there were 10 extra chairs in here. And I just thought, I got to do something. And there was extra.
Is having extra chairs a crime? Looking around.
An extra 10 just stacked up is not good. And then, but this was also kind of the place, if I had too much, if I felt like, oh, this room has too much, or I don't like this thing in this room, this was where I would bring everything. And then when I decided, hey, I want to fix this up so that this is also, as nice as the other rooms in the house, that's when I said, okay, all this stuff's got to go. And that's what I've been working on.
Yeah. And I think what happens is it's sort of a way station. Like, you're not sure,
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, let me just put it out there for a little while. And then you don't go out there, wherever there is, maybe you don't go into your garage. Maybe you don't use that extra bonus room. Maybe you have a basement like this, but it's time to tackle that. And, let's hold hands and do it together, because I have to finish up here. I started, I keep starting, and I've never really finished. And so I am really going to finish this time, and I am going to hold myself to it, because I was thinking about it a lot in preparing for this episode. This is probably the thing that weighs on my mind a lot. So why do I need that? I'm guilty of doing it, and I can stop it, and then I'll feel better about the space and I'll enjoy the space. So if you're in the same boat with me, instead of being in the same jail cell with me, let's do it together.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And that's just kind of I don't want to get rid of it yet. I haven't decided, but at some point, it's just time. You're going to have to decide. Some of these big pieces, if you don't have storage for them, you're going to have to make the call, keep it or move it on out the door.
Exactly. And the same thing goes with actual rooms that you use. Too much furniture is a bad idea. If you're finding yourself walking around something, or you have to do a little hop and a skip over an ottoman or something like that, think about getting the stuff out of the room. Just take it out, move it someplace else, see how it feels without it. Grab some of that negative space that we've talked about. And that is a really good thing, and certainly not a style crime. Dated hardware. That's something maybe you don't think about. Look at those knobs. Look at what's going on. If they're like, I don't know, maybe they're too cutesy. Maybe your room sort of became a little more elegant and they're a little cottagey looking. So they're not even moving. They didn't move along with your progress in your decor. Or they just look like, they should have a different finish on them. You could take them off and spray paint them. You could gold leaf them, or you could head to any one of the big box stores. They have really nice choice of hardware. Also, our friends D Lawless Hardware, check them out online. They have incredibly reasonable prices, and you might find something that's absolutely perfect there. But that is so easy. Again, that's kind of like your entry, and a few of these other things that we talked about, even the AC vents, if you're going to spray paint them, and seriously, that's like an hour and a half investment, and you've really done your home a good turn. By doing any of these things.
Well, and I hate to mention this one because it's kind of a pain in the neck to deal with, but the popcorn ceilings. I don't know what these people were thinking, but what a horrible design crime. And it's not like we went out and said, please put popcorn on my ceiling.
No.
It just, you would buy a house and it would be there. So it's not, it's not your fault if you have it. I mean, you probably didn't have a choice about it, but you're stuck with it then. And, just be careful if you do decide to get rid of it, because a lot of those ceilings do have asbestos in them. So you might want to get that checked out before you deal with it. But, you can plank over it. There's just a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. I mean, unless there's asbestos in there, and I wonder, sometimes they say with asbestos, it's better just to leave it.
That's why planking over it might be better.
So I think planking over it is such a better plan, or doing some sort of finish over it rather than taking it all down.
Yeah, I've seen people scrape it off. But again, if you're going to do that, boy, I'd make sure it doesn't have asbestos in it, because you sure do not want to be exposed to that.
Oh, that would be so awful. Yeah. So awful. So don't just wake up on a Saturday morning and be like, today's the day. Popcorn's coming down.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Let's figure out who came up with that. Mr.
Why are we going to put them in jail?
Mr. Popcorn. I don't think it ever looked good.
No, it was never good.
And hard to paint. But it must have been inexpensive. Like there had to be some reason why it was done.
Oh, we have a lot of asbestos. How are we going to get rid of this? Oh, let's put it on everybody's ceiling.
Let's blow it on the ceiling. Yeah. I don't think anybody, nobody that was actually installing that is still around. Poor things.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is going to kind of hurt. And actually someone said something about this on my YouTube channel recently. Too many pillows.
Excuse me? I don't
Exactly.
think so.
Well, usually I'm just like, yeah, thanks for your opinion. That's so nice of you. Thanks for watching. But with this thing, like the person said, excuse me, ma'am. This is in the comment. Excuse me, ma'am. You're talking about, decluttering or, not having too many things to me. And you have five, mind you, useless pillows on your sofa. 5 useless pillows on my sofa. I was like, I am sorry. I don't find that those 5 pillows are not useless. They're bringing in style and pattern and color.
I'm glad you're getting some enjoyment out of the negative comments. I was reading some negative comments somewhere online about me, and Evie just could not stop laughing. It was just such a source of enjoyment for her for the day.
Oh my goodness! Well, I'm
going to read you some more of these so we can have a good time.
Yeah, well, I just thought that was silly. I mean, sure, if I had 15 pillows on my sofa, that's criminal. But no, 5.
Well, but my sofa doesn't have back cushions. So if I don't have pillows, there's nothing to soften your back.
Yeah, well, she would have a field day with you. Yeah.
No.
But if you have, way too many pillows where someone can't sit. I did have a sofa.
Or the bed. I mean, there's
bed.
a limit. There's a limit there. What did we say? A third of the way down? You can't go halfway.
Can't go halfway.
That's too much.
I do have one of the velvet bolsters that from our shop. And
the gray one that I sent you?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yes. It's the velvet. It's just so luscious. Like I wish it was longer because then I could just make it a body pillow. But I have a little hard time with that one because it is kind of the extra and it's round but I keep putting it on there.
No, that was a nice one.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. That velvet was delicious.
Well, So, I mean, it is possible to go overboard, but where the line is, I think varies person to person.
Very personal. Yes.
It's a very personal decision.
I think that is not clear cut.
We're going to have to give you a pass on that.
Yeah, I think that would not be beyond a reasonable doubt. And therefore, you would not be convicted of that no matter how many pillows you had because it is very personal. You have a crush for us today?
Oh, I do. And let me make sure I can pronounce this properly. La Gueule flatware. I have a particular brand. So La Gueule was developed in 1829 by Jean-Pierre Camels in France. And actually you've seen it. It's the French flatware that has the colored handles that are usually kind of has some screws on there. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm laughing because I have that on my list for one of the other episodes that we're doing in the upcoming days. I'm suggesting that as a set. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm suggesting, but as a gift.
Okay.
And I'm so glad you know how to pronounce it because I'm just going to say those French knives and you're going to fill it in.
And I actually looked it up to make sure I was pronouncing it correctly. And that's as close as I can get as an American who does not really speak French. But what I wanted to point out is this is a particular style of flatware. It is not a particular brand. So when you see La Gueule, it's Laguiole. That is actually a style. And there are different brands. And the Jean Dubeau is a French brand. So I actually have the Jean Dubeau 3-piece cheese set that I thought I would feature. And they come in, my favorite color in these is the turquoise, but the ones I'm going to feature come in gray and assorted browns, red, white, and blue. I also have flatware, but the thing I love about these is that you can get them in any colors. There's several different brands, but like this, the Jean Dubeau is pretty good brand. But you can get them in so many different colors. You can get assorted colors and you can get flatware sets. You can get bread knife. I've got the serving spoons for your salad, but also, your flatware to eat with. So they're so pretty and they work so well with so many different table settings. And I love the turquoise, but really the color I have is the black, which is so pretty and goes with most anything. What's your crush?
Oh, my crush are these matte black stoneware salad plates. I just love matte black, as you all know. I love my matte black spray paint. So I thought, well, that would be so pretty with a lot of my cream and white dishes. And in fact, they are really lovely. And they just sort of add this really fresh, sort of modern look to the table. And I'm liking them mixed with some of the older stuff because not just the creams and whites, but some of the other patterned dishes that I have, the chinas and whatnot, have a little black in them, or they look great with black transferware, or even red transferware could be really fun Christmas time. So yeah, I highly suggest you take a look at those.
Nice.
Yeah, they're really good. So today we just wanted to, not just, let me take that away. We wanted to thank everyone who's been so kind to leave us a review on iTunes. It makes a big difference having these reviews on iTunes, because that's how iTunes, that's the Apple Podcasts. A lot of you listen to us through that or on your iPhone. And they are kind of like the Mac Daddy of podcasting as far as the number of people listening. So if you've got reviews and there's people, like real people, saying, hey, this is a good one, they start offering these various podcasts up to other listeners that might be interested in decorating and whatnot. So it's really helpful to us. It's not just like, oh, we want to hear the nice things you have to say about us. It's which is so nice and we love it. But it's just really a wonderful way to help the show get exposed to other people so we can keep growing our beautiful community. Again, just to give thanks to our listeners who took the time out of their day. We really appreciate it. And if anybody else would like to do that and you haven't left a review yet, we would be very grateful if you did. And the link to do so is in the show notes. I hope you got the spirit of today's episode. I think it was kind of fun, and I definitely am going to start working on my dumping ground and clearing that out and doing a few other things that I think that I might be a little guilty of. I think I actually might have a little dried status somewhere in my house. So I'm going to go dump that out today after we stop recording. As always, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.